Hello and welcome to Chapter 3 in Radiating Literature. It is time to see what actually happened to that poor man who was just murdered. I'm now realizing we're not going to find out in this chapter, but we'll find out something, I am sure. So here is Chapter 3. It's called At the Villa Genevieve. In a moment, Poirot had leapt from the car, his eyes blazing with excitement. That seems a little rude, guys. You were just told a man was murdered. He caught the man by the shoulder. "What is that you say? Murdered? When? How?" The Sergeant de Ville drew himself up. "Cannot answer any questions, monsieur." "True, I comprehend." Poirot reflected for a moment. "The commissary of police. He is without doubt within?" "Yes, monsieur." Poirot took out a card and scribbled a few words on it. "Voila! Will you have the goodness to see that this card is sent to the commissary at once?" The man took it and, turning his head over his shoulder, whistled. I can't whistle or I do it for you guys. In a few seconds, a comrade joined him and was handed Poirot's message. There was a wait for some minutes, and then a short, stout man with a huge mustache came bustling down the gate. The Sergeant de Ville saluted and stood aside. "My dear Monsieur Poirot," cried the newcomer, "I'm delighted to see you. Your arrival is most opportune." Poirot's face had lighted up. That's just weird phrasing. "Monsieur Bex, it is indeed a pleasure." He turned to me. This is an English friend of mine, Captain Hastings, Monsieur Lucien Bex." The commissary and I bowed to each other ceremoniously. Then Monsieur Bex turned once again to Poirot. "Mon vieux, I have not seen you since 1909. God, I know that this wasn't written in 2020, but it just feels so long ago to say 1909. That is, that time in Ostend. I heard that you had left the force?" "So I have. I run a private business in London." "And you say you have information to give which may assist us." "Possibly you know it already. You were aware that I had been sent for?" "No. By whom?" "The dead man. It seems he knew an attempt was going to be made on his life. Unfortunately, he sent for me too late." "Sacre tonnerre!" I don't know, ejaculated the Frenchman. Guys, we really gotta stop with that word. So he foresaw his own murder? That upsets our theories considerably. Come inside. He held the gate open, and we commenced walking toward the house. Monsieur Bex continued to talk. "The examining magistrate, Monsieur Autet, must hear of this at once. He has just finished examining the scene of the crime, and is about to begin his interrogations. A charming man. You will like him. Again, I just wonder how much we're hinting at that Poirot is gay. Anyways, most sympathetic, original in his methods, but an excellent judge. I feel like when you say, like, an investigator or interviewer is original in his methods, that I'm going to be very upset with this person." "When was the crime committed?" asked Poirot. "The body was discovered this morning around 9 o'clock. Madame Renaud's evidence..." What? "The body was discovered this morning around 9 o'clock. Madame Renaud's evidence..." Okay, that's just weird phrasing. And that of the doctors goes to show that the death must have occurred about 2 a.m. But enter, I pray you." We had arrived at the steps which led up to the front door of the villa. In the hall, another Sergeant de Ville was sitting. He rose at sight of the commissary. "Where's Monsieur Autet now?" inquired the latter. "In the salon, monsieur." Monsieur Bex opened a door to the left of the hall, and we passed it. Monsieur Autet and his clerk were sitting at a big round table. They looked up as we entered. The commissary introduced us and explained our presence. Monsieur Autet, the judge... Sorry, it doesn't say judge. The juge? Oh god, the juge d'instruction was a tall, gaunt man with piercing dark eyes and a neatly cut gray beard, which he had a habit of caressing as he talked. Creepy. Caressing is just a weird word to use there. Standing by the mantelpiece was an elderly man with slightly stooping shoulders, who was introduced to us as Dr. Durand. "Most extraordinary," remarked Monsieur Autet as the commissary finished speaking. "You have the letter here, monsieur?" Poirot handed it to him, and the magistrate read it. Sorry, my dog's doing something. What, girl? No. Get your foot. Stop it. Okay. He speaks of a secret. What a pity he was not more explicit. We are much indebted to you, Monsieur Poirot. I hope you will do us the honor of assisting us in our investigations, or are you obliged to return to London? Monsieur le Juge, I hope to remain. I did not arrive in time to prevent my client's death, but I feel myself bound in honor to discover the assassin. Are you thinking you still gonna get paid? Just saying, you were spending all this money. Anyways, the magistrate bowed. These sentiments do you honor. Also, without doubt, Madame Renaud will wish to retain your services. Oh, right, he's got a widow. She'll pay him. We are expecting Monsieur Gerard from the... Oh, God, I don't even know what that symbol is above the U. Suretse in Paris any moment, and I am sure that you and he will be able to give each other mutual assistance in your investigation. In the meantime, I hope that you will do me the honor to be present at my interrogations, and I need hardly say that if there is any assistance you require, it is at your disposal. I thank you, monsieur. You will comprehend that at present I am completely in the dark. I know nothing whatever. Monsieur Ted nodded to the commissary, and the latter took up the tale. This morning, the old servant Francois, on descending to start her work... Oh, that's probably not Francois then if it's her. Oh, I'm still going to say Francois. I don't know how to say it otherwise. Found the front door ajar. Feeling a momentary alarm as to burglars, she looked around the dining room. But seeing the silverware was safe, she thought no more about it, concluding that her master had, without doubt, risen early and gone for a stroll. Pardon, monsieur, for interrupting, but was that a common practice of his? No, it was not. But old Francois has the common idea as regards the English, that they are mad and liable to do the most unaccountable things at any moment. Going to call her mistress as usual, a younger maid, Leonie, was horrified to discover her gagged and bound, and almost at the same moment news was brought that Monsieur Renaud's body had been discovered stone dead, stabbed in the back. Where? Now, this where could mean where in the back, or where was the body found. I'm pretty sure it's where is the body found, but you know. Whoa, come join me, little girl. Oh, yes, okay. Where were we? That is one of the most extraordinary features of the case, Monsieur Poirot. The body was lying face downwards in an open grave. Dun dun dun. Yeah, it scared you too much? Okay. What? Yes, the pit was freshly dug just a few yards outside the boundary of the villa grounds. And he had been dead how long? Dr. Duran answered this. I examined the body this morning at 10 o'clock. Death must have taken place at least 7 and possibly 10 hours previously. That fixes it between midnight and 3 a.m. Exactly. Madame Renaud's evidence places it at after 2 a.m., which narrows the field still further. Death must have been instantaneous and naturally could not have been self-inflicted. Poirot nodded and the... Sorry, my dog just jumped into, like, my one chair. Alright, you go, girl. Okay, where were we? Poirot nodded and the commissary resumed. Madame Renaud was hastily freed from the cords that bound her by the horrified servants. She was in a terrible condition of weakness, almost unconscious from the pain of her bonds. It appears that 2 masked men entered the bedroom, gagged and bound her, whilst forcibly abducting her husband. This we know at second hand from the servants. On hearing the tragic news, she fell at once into an alarming state of agitation. On arrival, Dr. Durand immediately prescribed a sedative. Cool. And we have not been able to question her, but without doubt she will awake more calm and be equal to bearing the strain of the interrogation. The commissary paused. And the inmates of the house, monsieur? Inmate is a weird way to refer to it. There is old Francois, the housekeeper. She lived for many years with the former owner of the Villa Genevieve. Then there are 2 young girls, sisters Denise and Leonine Orlade. Their home is in Merlinville, and they come of the most respectable parents. Then there's the chauffeur whom Monsieur Renaud brought over from England with him, but he is away on holiday. Finally, there are Madame Renaud and her son, Monsieur Jacques Renaud. He, too, is away from home at present. Poirot bowed his head. Monsieur Tet spoke. Marchand, I'm guessing. The Sergeant de Ville appeared. Bring in the woman, Francois. Sorry, it's just a dumb way to say it. The man saluted and disappeared. In a moment or two, he returned, escorting the frightened Francois. Your name is Francois Archet? Yes, monsieur. You have been a long time You have been a long time in service at the Villa Genevieve. 11 years with Madame la Vicomtesse, and when she sold the villa this spring, I consented to remain on with the English milor. Never did I imagine. The magistrate cut her short. Without doubt, without doubt. Now, Francois, in this matter of the front door, whose business was it to fasten at night? My monsieur, always. I saw to do it myself. And last night, I fastened it as usual. You are sure of that? I swear it by the blessed saints, monsieur. What time would that be? The same time as usual, 10:30, monsieur. What about the rest of the household? Had they gone up to bed? Madame had retired some time before. Denise and Leonie went up with me. Monsieur was still in his study. Then, if anyone unfastened the door afterwards, it must have been Monsieur Renaud himself. Francois shrugged her broad shoulders. What should he do that for? With robbers and assassins passing every minute? A nice idea! Sorry, the exclamation marks. Monsieur was not an imbecile. It is not as though he had to let Setsam out. I don't know what that means. Okay. The magistrate interrupted sharply. Setsam? What lady do you mean? Why, the lady who came to see him. Is this Cinderella? Why the lady who came to see him? Had a lady been to see him that evening? But yes, monsieur, and many other evenings as well. Oh, ho, ho. That was added by me, in case that wasn't clear. Who was she? Did you know her? A rather cunning look spread over the woman's face. How should I know who it was? She grumbled. I did not let her in last night. Ha-ha! Roared the examining magistrate, bringing his hands down with a bang on the table. You would trifle with the police, would you? I demand that you tell me at once the name of this woman who came to visit Monsieur Renaud this evening. I feel like you could have just asked her, bro. The police, grumbled Francois. Never did I think that I should be mixed up with the police, but I know well enough who she was. It was Madame Zobril. I'm sorry. The commissary uttered an exclamation and leaned forward as though in utter astonishment. Madame de Bril? From the Villa Marguerite just down the road? That's what I said, monsieur. Oh, she's a pretty one, celle-là. The old woman tossed her head scornfully. Madame de Bril, murmured the commissary. Impossible. Voila, grumbled Francois. That is all you get for telling the truth. Not at all, said the examining magistrate smoothly. We were surprised, that is all. Madame de Bril, then, and Monsieur Renaud, they were... He paused delicately. Eh? It was that without doubt? How should I know? But what will you? Monsieur, he was milor anglaise, très riche. And Madame de Bril, she was poor, that one, and très chic, for all that she lived so quietly with her daughter. Ooh, who's the daughter? Not a doubt of it, she has had her history. She is no longer young, but, ma foi, I who speak to you have seen the men's heads turn after her as she goes down the street. Besides, lately, she has had more money to spend. All the town knows it. The little economies there are at an end. And Francois shook her head with an air of unalterable certainty. Monsieur Autet stroked his beard reflectively. See, stroked is better than caressed. Can we agree on this? Okay. And Madame Renaud, he asked at length, how did she take this friendship? Francois shrugged her shoulders. She was always most amiable, most polite. One would say that she suspected nothing. But all the same, it is not so. The heart suffers, monsieur. Day by day, I've watched Madame grow paler and thinner. She was not the same woman who arrived here a month ago. Monsieur, too, has changed. He also has had his worries. One could see that he was on the brink of a crisis of the nerves, and who could wonder with an affair conducted such a fashion? No reticence, no discretion. Style anglaise, without doubt. We just fucking hate the English, right? I bound indignantly in my seat while the examining magistrate was continuing his question, undistracted by side issues. You say Monsieur Renaud had not to let Madame de Brel out. Had she left, then? Yes, monsieur. I heard them come out of the study and go to the door. Monsieur said good night and shut the door after her. What time was that, then? About 25 minutes after 10, monsieur. Do you know when Monsieur Renaud went to bed? I heard him come up about 10 minutes after we did. The stairs creak so that one hears everyone who goes up and down. Ooh, that's going to be important later. And that is all? You heard no sound of disturbance during the night? Nothing whatever, monsieur. Which of the servants came down the first in the morning? I did, monsieur. At once I saw the door swinging open. What about the other downstairs windows? Were they all fastened? Every one of them. There was nothing suspicious or out of place anywhere. Good, Francois, you can go now. You can go. The old woman shuffled toward the door. On the threshold she looked back. I will tell you one thing, monsieur. The Madame de Brel, she is a bad one. Sorry, exclamation mark. Oh, yes, one woman knows about another. She is a bad one, remember that. And shaking her head sagely, Francois left the room. Leonie Aulard, called the magistrate. Leonie appeared dissolved in tears and inclined to be hysterical. Great. Monsieur Artet dealt with her adroitly. Her evidence was mainly concerned with the discovery of her mistress gagged and bound, of which she gave rather an exaggerated account. She, like Francois, had heard nothing during the night. Her sister Denise succeeded her. She had agreed that her master had changed greatly of late. Every day he became more and more morose. He ate less. He was always depressed. But Denise had her own theory. Without doubt, it was the mafia. Okay, we got two theories. Theory 1, mistress. Theory 2, mafia. Great. This is working out great. Okay. Without doubt, it was the mafia he had on his track. 2 masked men. Who else could it be? A terrible society, that. It is, of course, possible, said the magistrate smoothly. Now, my girl, was it you who admitted Madame de Bril to the house last night? Not last night, monsieur, the night before. Oh, ho, ho. But Francois had just told us that Madame de Bril was here last night. No, monsieur. The lady did come to see Monsieur Renaud last night, but it was not Madame de Bril. Surprised, the magistrate insisted, but the girl held firm. She knew Madame de Bril perfectly by sight. This lady was dark also, but shorter and much younger. Nothing could shake her statement. Had you ever seen this lady before? Never, monsieur, said, and then the girl added diffidently, but I think she was English. English? Yes, monsieur. She asked her Mr. Renaud in quite good French, but the accent, one can always tell it. Ne sais pas. Sorry, y'all, that was bad. Besides, when they came out of the study, they were speaking in English. Okay, thank you, that's a better one. Did you hear what they said? Could you understand it, I mean? Me? I speak English very well, said Denise with pride. The lady was speaking too fast for me to catch what she said, but I heard Monsieur's last words before he opened the door for her. She paused and repeated carefully and laboriously, Yes, but for God's sake go now. The spelling of this was insane. How would you think Sake is spelled? Would you think it's spelled S-A-I-K-E? I know we're trying to convey the accent, but that was rough. Yes, but for God's sake go now, repeated the magistrate. He dismissed Denise. I'm just wondering if that was by accident. He was repeating what she said, and then she's like, oh, I should go, and she left. He dismissed Denise, and after a moment or two for consideration, recalled Francois. To her he propounded the question as to whether she had not made a mistake in fixing the night of Madame de Bois' visit. Francois, however, proved unexpectedly obstinate. It was last night that Madame de Bril had come. Without a doubt it was she. Denise wished to make herself interesting. Voilà tout. Or tout, I think it's. Voilà tout. So she had cooked up this fine tale about a strange lady, airing her knowledge of English, too. Probably Monsieur had never spoken that sentence in English at all, and even if he had, it proved nothing, for Madame de Bril spoke English perfectly, and generally used that language when talking to Monsieur and Madame Renaud. You see, Monsieur Jacques... Who's Jacques? I don't remember. The son of Monsieur was usually here, and he spoke the French very badly. The magistrate did not insist. Instead, he inquired about the chauffeur, and learned that only yesterday Monsieur Renaud had declared that he was not likely to use the car, and that masters might just as well take a holiday. A perplexed frown was beginning to gather between Poirot's eyes. I guess you're talking about this scrunch here, but I wouldn't call that a frown. This is a frown. What is it? I whispered. He shook his head impatiently and asked a question. Pardon, Monsieur Bex, but without doubt Monsieur Renaud could drive the car himself. The commissary looked over at Francois, and the old woman replied promptly, No, Monsieur did not drive himself. Poirot's frown deepened. I wish you would tell me what is worrying you, I said impatiently. See you not? In this letter Monsieur Renaud speaks of sending the car for me to Calais. Perhaps he meant a hired car, I suggested. Doubtless that is so, but why hire a car when you can have one of your own? Why choose yesterday to send away the chauffeur on a holiday, suddenly, at a moment's notice? Was it that for some reason he wanted him out of the way before we arrived? And that is the end of chapter 3. Dun dun dun.